Let's see that everything was good. Okay, I'm good up there. Good over here. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Primetime Show, Dr. Samuel Lombardo, interactive show, and our title today is Incriminating versus Judgmental Excuses. I'm Dr. Samuel Lombardo, the CEO and Executive Director of SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC, Suave Dance Studios, LLC, Lions Publishing and Productions, LLC, Artist Gala Interview Smart Vocational School of Models and Artists. And I am happy to be here this afternoon with you after a couple of evening breaks because of busy schedules, setting up auditions for online and whatnot. We are now doing our interactive shows. This is our primetime show. We normally do an evening show from 7 to 10 p.m. or 8 to 11 p.m. However, tonight's going to be a little bit different depending on if I have scheduled auditions, online auditions, and I'll explain why in a minute. So you want to visit us at www.slmta-agency.com. Also, we have another match signing going with SL Models and Talent Agency as some new clients, some potentially new clients as well. We'll talk a little bit about that in a few. And then also the job orders that are coming with them. Now, some of them are actually freelanced, while others are actual clients of SL Models and Talent Agencies. So I'll let you know what the difference are in just a few moments. So you will follow us. If you're a new face, you're going to go to www.slmta-agency.com and go to become a model, and in the drop down you will click on the online application, fill out the application. I'm going to explain those details as well. I know I spend about 15 minutes every video to explain that, but I want to also do a shout out to our Patreon. So we got about 45 Patreons that have signed up thus far. We are happy about this. Continue on. Also, do not forget to subscribe. We are on YouTube, SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. We are the gold icon with the red round ring on it. You will see us. Please subscribe there as we are looking to complete our next milestone, which is 500 subscribers. Yes, I can't believe that I'm actually saying this today. We are looking for 500 subscribers. That's where we are heading, and we will get there. Let's see if we can get there at least by the end of the week, for sure, as things are happening. It's been long nights for me, but they've been long nights for a productive reason, not because I would have chosen to, and therefore you probably see it a little bit in the voice or whatnot, or you can hear a little bit in the voice. Also, this is that time of the year that I get hit with allergies like crazy, so I am flooding myself with plenty to drink. And no, this isn't like the McDonald's drink. This just happens to be the cup that I'm using. At least today. I do go to McDonald's, but I mean, as of today, I'm using the cup for something else. But I want to be able to make sure that my voice will be very well clear and ready for our live interactive shows. So yes, do not forget to subscribe and do not forget to hit that notification bell, because I will tell you when we are actually coming on live, and you would be able to, you won't actually miss a thing. We got a lot of things coming up, which I'm going to tell you in bits and pieces during our commercial breaks. Okay, we also want to say SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC, because we do actually reach over 500 million people every single time that we do a live interactive show, especially through Twitch, Discord, and Speaker. We have decided that we are going to sponsor those, and we have decided that we were going to create commercial breaks of our own within our podcast, live shows, etc. Okay, emails left and right. Yes, bring them in, bring them in. I'll get to them soon. Yes, look at this. Indeed, indeed, indeed. There is a little bit of house cleaning rules that I do need to mention that I will bring to your attention in a minute here. So I am live here. Let me make sure that I am going, that I am, okay. That's funny. I have individuals who are wondering about this would actually be should pop it into the live. Okay. Individuals asking about what they should look like in their photo shoot. So I decided I am live. I live now on an interactive show. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, now that we brought that attention, so do not subscribe, and we will actually, we are actually going to do something. Yes, right. That is our everyday style. Yes, yes, yes. Mm, mm. What I'm going to do, since this is a great opportunity to do so, I am going to go into my channel, send it over to him, and then he can watch this later so that we can go ahead and be on our way doing what we need to do. We will laugh first and then we'll send that. How's that? There we go. I'm crazy in my way, but that's how we do that. That's how we do that. Okay, so there we go. We might have another subscriber anyway. There you go. Subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe. SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. I'm going to put that right here too. This is our subscription page for YouTube. If you're following us on Instagram, we'll do that on, or excuse me, on Facebook. Instagram, I don't know. Y'all are like the lonely pack over here. I don't know what's going on. And so, and I don't want to like board you on subscribing, but we do have our patrons, and I try to name you all, but I think that's what I'm gonna have to write down those names and do so, because some of them are very excellent Patreons. We have actually 4 VIP Patreons ready to VIP our way right down that red carpet, waiting for that first event to kick in. I'm already speaking and collaborating with different musical artists, new ones, good ones, all of them. And it's going to be an exciting time. Don't forget Spring Fling Extravaganza and the Kid Showdown Extravaganza starts April 15th. And so you want to get prepared for that. It's not an audition. It's actually you performing live. You will send those photos. If you're an actor, you will send yourself a video of you recording yourself on a 90-second script and whatnot. We are looking for very specific things in each category. We will tell you about them. And then there will be a form that will be online that you will be able to fill out, and it will be done in a process that has never been done with SL Models and Talent Agency ever before. That's a surprise, so watch out for that one. Okay, so what we're gonna do is about 20-minute increments. We will actually stop and do an advertisement, then go back and do another 20-minute increments, and then that way. During the 20-minute increments, what I have decided to do is provide up to 4 minutes worth of 30-second or 60-second clips. They are going to be they're going to be measured at either $50 per clip, or if you plan that you want to do this during prime time, meaning the time that most people are available and seeing the, so it will end up being, you could do weekly costs. The weekly cost would be $500 and the monthly cost would be $850, okay? Now, you would want to do a radio clip of 30 or 60 seconds and a video clip of 30 to 60 seconds, because what we plan to do is we plan to showcase those. That will be how we will sponsor, or your sponsorship will actually be branded out on the SLMTA platforms. And the radio recordings or the radio clips are going to be for things like our podcasts because I'm on 10 platforms, Discord, Twitch, and Speaker to be exact, is a few of them to name. And they are all across iHeartRadio, across many different things. So when I'm doing these lives, these interactive shows, sometimes we'll have people like coming in and they might do some speaking, whatever the case may be. If you're looking at collaborating to want to be an interviewee with my show and you have a specific topic that you want to go over, please let me know about that as well. We could work those details in the plan. We do have a training from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight, which I will be ending this show. Typically it ends around 6 p.m. and then I get the hour break. And what I like to do during that hour is play music. But because this is going to be boom, 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 tonight what will happen is I'm going to be going back live in time for the training, and I will do 30 minutes of our licensed music from Epidemic Sound, where there will be different types of music playing. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it because our soundboard is coming in very soon, And it is a busy time of the day, as you could probably hear in the background. There's still that background noise. That is going to change next week indefinitely. Okay, we do have the soundboard coming in. We've gotten the right one, and I had to get the right cord to be able to plug it in so that everything works. But the whole set is pretty much done. We're just waiting. We're gonna be playing some music. It's almost gonna be like a little mini radio station, just without the name of a radio station. That might be something that we might want to look into, that we will end up starting, but that's not a project that I'm willing to take on right now. So now that we gotten down to that level, let me explain some other details. Hello, Baker. How are you? Thank you for visiting. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Come back and visit again. So I am on the Instagram live. I'm on the Facebook live. I am on the, I'm live everywhere. Just find me and you're gonna end up seeing me. The only place I'm probably not live is on a new the news broadcast as of yet. As of yet, believe me, there are things coming, and you don't want to miss them. That's why I'm telling you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that is where it is happening. That's where it is popping. And let's go check that YouTube channel real quick. Let's see what we got going on. I know that we were at 268, like we are flowing. We're still hovering at the 268 mark, which is fine. I expect that we get little breaks in that subscription pattern, but definitely I wish there was a way for me to cut, copy, and paste to Instagram. I think there may be a way. Just give me a quick moment. I'm gonna throw that up there right now so that you guys will get it, and you will be, nothing will be missed at that point, right? Nothing will be missed. Copy, and we're gonna send this right to my email. I'm gonna email myself. I'm gonna get up in the thing. That's why I said this is raw, copy, and edit it. But we are gonna be heading into a fantastic video. We have a lot to talk about today, and of course, our topic comes from my pre-doctoral. Hold on one second. Book that has been written, Psychology of the Creative Invaders. Listen to me, Innovators. Psychology of the Creative Innovators, which, you know, sooner than later, I'm going to actually have it being published and ready for live. But right now, it's not. So I'm taking different topics that I think is important from that book, and I'm basically relaying them out to the public. All right, give me one moment here, because I figure it right now I have a break, and I'm gonna go ahead and take that break. I'm gonna take advantage of this. This is where you you gotta love me, because it's like it literally is like I'm like multitasking, which is exactly what I'm doing. There you go. You will subscribe there. Remember to subscribe at SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. We are the gold symbol with the red ring around it, and then boom, there you go. So if you want to be interactive, if you want to go to all of our live open calls, we're going to be doing live Zoom open call. live Zoom open interviews and auditions. Yes, we're not making them into anything more than a show at this point. So if you're ready to embarrass yourself, come on out and let's do it. All right. No, I'm kidding. No, you wouldn't embarrass yourself, but here's the thing. You have to be willing to take some kind of a step in the process. So, hello, the mentor. How are you? How are you? Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is linked right there in the headings. Okay, okay. So now that we're done some of our commercials, I want to talk a little bit about some in-house cleaning rules. This has to go, I'm going to start with clients, and then I'm going to go with the new faces of the models, okay? First and foremost, all of our information except for, now again, this is only except for addendum, okay, which is basically the information that SLMTA will add because we understand that the pandemic has taken a toll and we are trying to actually make things more affordable on a financial basis, as well as more affordable to the presence of the person that will be attending the shoot or production or what have you. SLMTA takes very seriously the standards of the entertainment industry laws. We're not talking about what you're born with of, well, you know, this is how I'm used to running a this or this and that and the other thing. No, this is, I'm more about, because without me and probably a couple other, you probably would not know half of the information that I'm giving you in regards to the entertainment industry. Now, no, I'm not talking about the things that you enjoy watching, which is like the Grammys and the Oscars, tellies, and all that. No, that's the fun stuff. The stuff that I'm talking about is the stuff that everybody is like, that's too confusing. Come on, can we just move on with that? That's the stuff that I be talking about, but it's the stuff that gets you out of trouble. So, all these things are listed on our website, www.slmta-agency.com. And you scroll down to the footer under company, you'll see things like CDC guidelines, privacy acts. You're going to see terms and conditions. Folks, clients, this is what I need you to understand. SLMTA basically has 3 ways that we can negotiate. Now, of course, when if I'm being told, provide me with whatever, you know, this or that, I will go ahead and start on because that's what any business does. We start on the high level, like this is what it is, especially if you come into me and you're saying that I want experience. Experience costs some money, okay? And with SL Models and Talent Agency, we have to make sure that we are paying them fairly when that is happening. But there are other ways of doing it, and some of our experience also goes along this way. They could be either signed, or they could also be freelanced. So that's where our next level would be at, is if you wanted an experienced freelancer. But here's the issue, and that's what we're going to talk about today, actually. We're going to be leading right into this, all right? The main thing is to make sure that you understand the importance of law, like what your rights are versus like what the agency's rights are, and that kind of thing. Now, a lot of what I develop is an agency to client agreement, and it's basically just coming right off the website that we already listed. That is only for experienced, okay? What we have on our website. So if you're looking for inexperienced, then we are totally open to every single negotiation that you may want to come up with. It could actually be your agreement that you may have, okay? But when it comes to experience, like where you're wanting them for a regular basis or whatever the case is, yes. And even if you are freelancing, you still have to abide by the laws within your state, within the federal guidelines, as well as the entertainment industry. And some of them are like, if you're dealing with underage, say you're doing a fashion show and it's underage. Well, if the girl doesn't want to do a bikini runway, then a 16-year-old should not have to be forced to do bikini runway. So then they wouldn't be, that wouldn't be an option that the 16-year-old girl or boy would have to do, right? You want to make sure that there is nothing happening. You got to understand that the harassment laws and all those different things still are in place. This is not something that can happen. Now, what we normally do with clients is we give you a chance to prove to us if you have those guidelines already set, okay? And then if not, then we set those guidelines, and because as an agency, that's what we have to be sure of, because it all feeds back to the labor force. At the end of the day, that's where it feeds back. And if there's any issues, now with our experienced models and talent, there are some areas where SLMTA is actually responsible for, where the clients are responsible, especially from the minute that they are flying there or traveling there or whatever, till the minute that they are back at our office or home or, away from them, put it that way. Now, if you cannot get those simple details fixed, then the unfortunate thing is that you may want to seek sponsorship or something like that is going to be able to help you with those issues, because that's a huge guideline when it comes to the entertainment industry. You won't even be able to be union recognized, and you actually could if you have a legitimate cause to be that you're a producer or you're a casting director or whatever. You could actually become union recognized with the right paperwork, and then those within your castings could actually become part of the union if and when they do qualify for that. But they won't be able to do it if you're not under the terms. And that's why I said we adopt a lot of the terms of the union when it comes to producers, casting agencies, and all that. So if I'm seeing this, unfortunately, this and this, and 90% of the meat of what we are talking about are actual guidelines within the entertainment industry, then that may be something that you might want to rephrase within your organization sooner than later, because you don't want to run into a mistake that could really cost you more than that. So that's just a little helpful tip for those of you out there that are really trying to get new projects going and things like that. See, I'm not too worried about I will be honest, I'm not too worried about the payments as much as I'm worried about the guidelines of the actual productions and showcases and all that. In other words, what guidelines do you have set up in case if someone got hurt, in case it was like anything that you're not aware of? You don't want the magic to happen thinking that you know that it's all happening and then it's not there. It's not a good scenario. Now that's a fact and not a judgmental excuse. Okay, we're going to tell you about those in a moment. And then we're going to go with our models and our talent. So our models and talent, we have an opportunity where you can freelance. I'm going to do this anyway, because at the very least, that's the best that I could do. We are developing a phase of where we want to go with agreement. But right now, I think for the purpose of a particular show that we are that we've learned about, which is what we were going to do anyway from the get-go, is that we were going to freelance artists to a particular casting call that was brought to our attention. But it's out of Jacksonville, Florida, which means that if you accept that job, not us, now we're okay with working with them one way or the other. And we are working on those details as we speak. But right now, it's mainly about you. You're going to have to figure out if your schedule works for what their schedule is, and that you would be able to do that travel. All right. If something comes out of any kind of a negotiation outside of that, then that will be fine. But I will make it very, very clear that there are some things from SLMTA's point of view that we are still going to need to keep watch on. And you guys will have to let us know that you have gotten the position. Now, what we'll do is we'll hold live auditions via online for you, and we will only record each person at a time. It will not be live like I'm live right now, but it will be live as in like Zoom between me and you, and then I'm going to take that and I'm going to send it off to the casting call. All right. To where they can make a decision, and then from there, then we would find out what the end results of the actual booking would be. I think that's a safe way to go on in regards to this, because it's more, it is a slightly emergency scenario, but we also want to be sure that we give everybody a chance. So even if you're not accepted, at least you got yourself out there, and we want you to we want you to get some kind of exposure in the best way that you can. But this is going to be a real audition. We're going to be asking you to do a cold read that SLMTA has. We have a pile of cold reads, okay? If you need to know how to do a cold read, then visit us live tonight when we do the training, because we will be doing cold reads tonight. All right. Let's see. And we'll also be doing improv. We might actually do that. We might stick that in the audition. Just do a quick, like, dramatic improv to see how you react in character, thinking outside the box. And then that could be provided, to them. Now, the person I'm speaking about, name is Tammy. She is with Bird's View Entertainment, and and out of Jacksonville, Florida. So that's as far as I will go with that. Now, with that being said, we also have other actual clients who are signing with us. Now, we set everything up on a prestigious level. If you see us being on a prestigious level, it's probably because you were requesting experience versus non-experience. So that's why a lot of stuff is written the way that it is. When it comes to new faces, though, I mean, some of them go from pro bono even because they want to work on their whatchamacallit, resume. So it would be a great resume builder. Now, if you're a freelancer who has not been signed with an agency yet and you're interested in wanting to join in this effort for the decision cast, then you know, this is your opportunity as well. Okay. Whether you're an experienced actor or not. I'm going to say whether you're an experienced actor or not, because here's the thing, and I'm going to say this to the clients out there. You have to be ready to pay for an experienced client. I mean, yeah, client, listen. You gotta be ready to pay for an experienced model or actor or whatnot. Like Ashraf Talsi won't even show up for a workshop without knowing for sure that he is actually being paid to travel there and everything else. And he is well respected that way. So if there is someone that is wanting to book him, I mean, we're talking Fendi, Gucci, big places like, you know, probably Hollywood would end up using him when he does move here, which would be we're thinking now it's going to be somewhere in the middle of the summer because of the COVID overseas and things like that. So, I mean, you're talking about if you're a film producer, probably he's worth $5,000 a day. That's what he gets for his shoots. Some of them go all the way up to 10 to 15,000, and a lot of times they do buyout options with him, depending on if he's actually that good, where they want him to actually be to the end of shows or whatnot, like in India when he was busy there. They would just buy them out. And so, folks, that's what you're gonna have to be prepared for when you're looking to do experience. But SLMTA has other ways of negotiating and figuring out and how to work with budgets and things like that. And we also can, if you're new to this, and when I say new, I'm talking about anyone that's like 3, maybe 5 years and younger. If that is you in the industry trying to start up projects or whatnot, then, you know, I would be more than happy to try to give you some helpful tips on what needs to be done in the reality of the organization. When it comes to productions, the biggest tip that I can give you when it comes to wanting experience is make sure that you have executives on the board, meaning executive producers who would finalize budgeted projects and really be financially stable to do so. So, and if this is a thing where it's more than one time, meaning that it's not just a movie, but it's like seasons of movie, then you need to figure out what it would be between the two. Now, I know that there's a little bit of confusion with our experienced models and talent contracts, because it does have stuff in there like usage rights and all of that. That kind of stuff is actually not even relatable. You would have to know what is relatable to you. And I think what we're going to start doing, because it is causing a little bit of confusion when it comes to film producers, we're going to start cutting that stuff out. So you might end up seeing an addendum of the same contract that will not have model related things in there, or music related things in there, because we want to try to do it. At first we were trying to do it to where it encompasses all of it, and that you should know what is related to your part, your genre of the industry. But we're noticing that people just read and then they're like, oh, usage rights. So does that mean every time like we play the movie or whatever, like we got to pay them a royalty? Technically, no, but the producer must be able to keep their royalty statement. So let's say, for example, you're doing an episode, and we'll just, I don't care what it is, season 2 episode 10, okay, and you're sitting there playing it 20 times on live TV, and people are buying Netflix or whatever, and they find it on Netflix, or they could find it on our TV or whatever, right? In this case, those are royalties that are then paid as percentages, which again, don't even have anything to do with that agreement. It has to do with the actual negotiating of an actual experienced actor's thing. So that is the finishing pitch when you are requesting. When in the beginning, what we do is we allow people to understand, we allow clients, we give them the information. This would be the packet that we would send saying, hey, if you're interested in being a client, you're seeking experienced actors, models, singers, or whatever from SLMTA's roster. This is what it is. Everything in detail, from confidentiality all the way to like underage agreement, everything. It states everything in there. Then the end result would be what actually is being negotiated on an actual contract for the work. That would have to be you having a conversation, not you models. I'm talking about like us, SLMTA and the client. We would be having that conversation. That's usually how the national agencies work. You want to get involved with a national agency versus you can work with locals. The reason that we're getting clients left and right is because when it comes to non-experienced or even our experienced ones, we actually have an addendum in there that is really actually helping a lot, especially when it comes to budget. If you don't know what I mean, try a local and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Believe me when I say it. Okay. But that's why we do land a lot of clients, even the ones that have low income budget or low budget projects, because we could definitely work with low budget projects. There's nothing that says that SLMTA couldn't. But the thing is that there are strict requirements that we have. Like, for example, we didn't have the backwards scenario where our client, our models or artists would not show up. We had where where freelancers and whatnot would actually go to clients, and then just all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, would be like, we don't need you. And while that almost looked bad on us, we actually had to red flag them to the point that we actually brought it in for an audit, because we didn't think, if it happened to us, and it didn't just happen one time, but 3 times in a row. That's why we actually did it, because we were like, and there wasn't any real reason. The only thing that I could think of, because I mean, they were right at the tail's end of everything that they were doing. I think what really got to the finishing touches on it was the fact that they didn't have the money that they said that they were going to have, because we have been asking about where that invoice was for about a month, and it's going on 2 to 3 now. This is something that you don't want to do, and therefore we actually ended up just pushing an audit on them and red flagging them to the point where I'm hoping that they don't end up just doing this simple thing and going out there changing a business name. If I find that out, I'll have to red flag them again, because it's not as simple as changing a business name. It's called get your stuff right and do it legally, instead of trying to finagle. And if it is pro bono, then say it at the top. Don't sit there and try to make something look like it's not. And then nobody knows what's happening, because I'm going to tell you, you're not getting away with it with a national agency. You're not. So if that is a situation, and unfortunately, yeah, that's something that we cannot entertain. All right. What else do we have going on that we want to talk about in the forefront? Okay, this is for models, whether you're freelance or you're signed with the agency. What we normally do, freelancers, is this. If you have experience, which we have a few freelancers that are experienced actors because they freelance themselves to the position already. We'll give an example, Dylan, okay? However, because of the liability between the agency and the actual client, even though that they're technically not a client, there are still responsibilities that must be done or dealt with. In this case, we send a schedule of guidelines that states what is what for freelancers. But for you guys, since I'm on this topic with you guys right now, freelancers, you have the choice of signing exclusively or non-exclusively to SLMTA. All right. And therefore, if you're signing non-exclusive, the contract could be, it's typically like a year, and then you can renew it, and whatever the case may be. What we're doing is trying to get out of the pandemic phase. And once we're out of that, then we will send an addendum of the actual contract date, because it's hard to, book people at a place that's closed. You know what I mean? Or that it's still kind of shaky whether or not they could be open or closed. So until we are past those phases, yeah, you're signed with us, but the actual date will start during that time. We're hoping that it's something that we could start everybody in June because that's when they're thinking, like between June and August. So we will see. However, there are some of you that are freelancers signed with us where I was giving breaks. There's not much I could do as far as the breaks are concerned. I mean, this is going to be the reality. We look through everything like all casting to make sure that all casting roles are actually legit. Okay. If they are, we actually send the same exact agreements to every single client. If they're looking for experience, this is what it looks like. If they're looking for freelance, this is what it looks like. Usually with freelance, we want to know what regulations you have set in stone. And then we basically just take what you have set in stone and place an addendum on it for you to sign so that you are aware of SLMTA's qualifications, which are basically just going to be our agreement to your actual regulation that you sent to us, as long as it files suit in a legal way. When it comes to non-experience are, you will see non-experience, the difference between non-experience pays and experience pays. What you don't see is a freelance pays, and that's because typically what we do is we try to negotiate the bet, so it could be anywhere between the non-experienced and the experienced payment. If it is non-union, if it is union, this is actually required. Those payments that are set the way that you see in that agreement is actually required. If you plus some, believe it or not, if you are looking for experience but non-union, well, first of all, good luck trying. It does happen, but it will be far in between now that everybody really wants to paid for their work and not have any mess ups. So it's probably going to be something that you're going to have to finagle, with an actual agency. That's why I was trying to work with a few of you, trying to condense everything to the English language as best as I could. As funny as that may sound. But now we want to get into our topic. All right, folks. What is the biggest difference do you think between judgmental and incriminating excuses? I'm going to tell you the definition. The difference between judgmental and incriminating excuses is one you have to think about, the other you are acting on. Oh my God. No, you just did not go there, right? That's probably what you're thinking. Oh my God. You did not just go there. Yes, I did. I went completely there. A whole 360. All right, folks, let me explain to you what is actually happening here on this topic, because this is a very, very important topic. In fact, in a roundabout way, I've been on this for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And if you wanted to get into the short end of the topic, it's really just to know who you are and choose to win in the industry instead of trying to find ways where you cannot win, where you're sitting there like the donut man that I keep mentioning about in my videos. You got the donut on one hand and a cup of coffee in the other. Now it's even worse when you got the donut in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other hand, and you don't still know what to do with it. Boy, are we actually lost. We are so lost and confused if we don't know what to do with that. It even gets worse when you're thinking about getting a donut. You love the sweet donut, but you expect someone to go and put it on your lap for you. Well, if you got that problem, unfortunately, there you are. Incriminating excuses. What is incrimination? Let's look that up. I'm ready to look it up. See, it's raw. It is uncut, unedited here, okay? Doing our interactive shows. By the way, I'm way past 20 minutes after I was talking about the models and that. Do not forget to subscribe. SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC. Okay, you will see the gold icon with the round ring around it. That's our logo. Please subscribe there because you're going to not want to miss a lot of upcoming events that are going to soon happen. And we are going to be doing some game shows and bingo nights. We'll be having our sponsors, and boy, you don't want to miss that. Okay. Now, again, you have to understand what I'm getting at when I use this term incriminating excuses. But first, you need to know what incrimination is so that I could explain to you. And we're also going to talk about what an excuse is. So that way, then we can put it all together. Okay. Well, it's to accuse of or present proof of a crime or fault, to involve in an accusation, cause to be or appear to be guilty, implicate, to charge with responsibility for all or part of an undesirable situation, harmful effect, etc. Well, what is hold on. Judgmental. Involving the use or exercise of judgment, tending to make quick and excessive critical judgment, especially moral ones. Let's see, what is the judgment? I'm reading all these out straight from the dictionary, so just FYI, all right? An act or instance of judging, the ability to judge, make a decision, or form an opinion objectively, authoritatively, and wisely, especially in matters affecting action, good sense, discretion. Affecting, okay, affecting good action. All right. And then of course, excuses. Well, what is an excuse? And then we're going to put it all together, okay? To regard or judge with forgiveness or indulgence, pardon, to forgive, overlook. That's what it's supposed to be. Now, do you see why I'm using these different types of formality in my book? Because if you're not actually taking the action to repent, you could forgive. You could say, I forgive. But if you didn't take the action to actually do it, the action is the repentance part of it. To offer an apology for, see, wow. An explanation offered as a reason for being excused. I mean, a ground or reason for excusing or being excused. So why am I using terms for something that should be about forgiving, pardon, being lenient or giving up the wish to punish as a way of saying judgmental versus incriminating excuses? I just read all the definitions to you, so it's plain and simple right there. Here it is. One piece of information is literally about your thought process. And then anything that you think, eventually it's going to come out, whether it's an action or you might, even if it's just on paper and then it goes to action. But in this case, incriminating excuses are done under action, where judgmental excuses are done under the thought. Well, how do you know the difference between those excuses? And why am I going so far as saying incriminating excuses? See, the truth of the matter is that once when you do not want to do, there are 3 guidelines to incriminating excuses. Actually, it would be 3 guidelines to the judgmental excuses. Let me rephrase that. And then I'm going to tell you the guidelines to the incriminating one. So that is whether or not you really want to do it, the bottom line. Okay? That actually to take the action. Number 2 is the presence of guilt or irony evolving the action. And then number 3 would actually be, which is the most important one that we would be discussing today, is whether or not you have what it takes to complete the action or not to complete it. The incriminating excuse has 5 components to it, and that is the integrity of the action that you feel. It is also the consequential experiences of not doing. 3, it also evolves around, or excuse me, not evolve, but revolve around the issues at hand that spear bottom your spiritual and psychological egos, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Number 4, it also develops your own interpersonal rivalry, which is called the compelling rivalry. All right. And number 5, most important one, is I just don't want to do it syndrome. Why? Because you have exalted all of the first four. So now you have this thing called the rivalry confidence. Your excuse, your opinion is so strong that you could literally say anything you want to say about why you don't want to do it, and you are compelled to that. And then that would take us to our next step of the show, with if we get time to even go to it, because we got a lot to talk about. And that would be the confined excuse. Boy, oh boy, are we really going to be tearing up the pages today. If that book is too heavy, get a lighter one and start marking your own notes. If it's just fine, you're able to lift the book, and at the very least, if that page is just bothering you, skip it until you can figure it out later. 9 times out of 10, you can figure it out later. That is your confidence builder for today that I will give you. Let's talk about the psychological ego. Oh. But my mom has always taught me that my dad doesn't like when I do. See, every time that I am caught on a camera, my cousin, what else could I throw in here? I like to throw these different things in here. Let's throw some of these in there from what we would get from clients as a business owner. Oh, yes. This happens in a business ownership too. Oh, you like bikinis and we don't. Unfortunately, you don't believe in the same way we do. And we don't want to. Now think about this, okay? This is more about judgmental excuses, but tell me if you're not putting this into action, I'm gonna go crazy. Okay. Oh, I love this one. I love this one. I love the one where I'm not sure what you could provide for me, so I don't want to get involved with you right now. I love that one. That one gets me the most. And then about a week or two later, you literally see that email like, oh man, I made a wrong decision. It happens. It happens. Here's another good one. I love this one. Now, I like to think about it because I don't want to come out judgmental, but folks, that's what a judgmental excuse is. It's about whatever is going through your mind is coming out. So if you're pardoning, what you're really doing is you're pardoning your relationship, especially, wait till you hear the incriminating ones. You think that's bad. Yes, there are twists to things. You just have to figure out, again, the inferences of how these work. Here's the big one that I like about clients, and this comes from mommies and daddies. I've been with you for 2 years, and I had not seen anything about my daughter being number one. Now that's actually an incriminating excuse, because the action is that they would have been there 2 years, and they figured that because they've been there for 2 years, that by then their daughter should have been number 1. Are you serious? So you're the dictator to determine how long it takes for someone to be the number 1 pro model. Congratulations. It doesn't work in my world, but okay. Maybe in yours it does. We can talk about reality versus fantasies. Believe me, it happens a lot. We will talk a little bit about fantasies today. Well, we're going to have to hurry up and talk about fantasies today, because in about an hour from now, we got to close. But then there's this this other one. Now, this comes from agencies that I get a lot, okay? So I'm at this level, and I could see that you're way up here, and that there's this conflict going on down here. We need to work at it like this to go over here. Now, you want to know the incriminating excuse? You ready? It's going to make you crack up. What are you doing about it? I love it. boy, are we gonna have fun today. What are you doing about it? See, this is what I always say. And this is a little bit of what we're talking about today anyway. What I always say is, if you're going to say something about it, either have your facts straight or do something about it, right? So you see the missing piece, or you're saying that you're doing that, I'm way up here and you're down here, and now I got to be over here, but you should focus over there, right? Then if you're showing that you're doing nothing about it, but you just got like information, it doesn't really show us anything at all in regards to what you're doing, except, unfortunately, how I would put it, providing a judgment. Now, some would actually call it the excuse, but they don't know what. That's why I'm trying to help you to realize the different terms of excuses, because there are different types. There are the ones like, I am sorry, please forgive me, I know I did this wrong, and then when you say, yes, I excuse you for it, yes, that's the true meaning of an excuse. But if you're telling someone, I'm going to give you an example. If you're telling someone that if you're telling someone that they got to cut their hair, it's too long, but then you come to them and you're telling them, look, I could do it for you, you have excused your judgment towards a person, but then you actually provided an incriminating action. It's not necessarily, understand this, consequences are both good and bad. It just determines on how you project them. So incriminating may seem like have this negative connotation to it, but the only way it would have a negative connotation to it is if you were going to say that you would cut the hair, never did, and all you're doing is sitting there talking about how long the hair is. If you want a better analogy, this would be better. Let's say that you're telling me I should put a lid on this cup. That's the judgment. The incriminating excuse would be if you went and actually got the lid for me and said, here, and then I said, thank you, then I'm excusing the fact of your original comment because there was action put into place, and I wasn't sure how important that really was. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm hoping we are following each other here. So going into the entertainment industry, we see a lot of judgmental excuses with especially new businesses. And a lot of times it's because they may think that they have the empowerment of knowing it. But if they don't have the empowerment of it, knowing it, and they're confined to their excuse, it could really be incriminating, and people run faster than you would even be able to do anything about it. And then you're stuck. Now let's talk about stuck. This is where we talk about psychology, ego, and spiritual ego. Now, you know where I'm going to go at here. This is going to be a big topic. That's why I made sure I waited right at the 30-minute mark or near it, because I'm going to be spending a lot of time on this topic. The psychological ego has a lot to do with the mind, and you do have 3 acronyms of the mind that have different reactants to it. You have the left side. Okay, you have the creative side, you have the innovative side, excuse me, and you have more of like the medical, scientific, and that side. And then you have the thing right here where you should be able to see yourself through what you are doing. So you're making a decision. You're either making a creative decision or a business scientific decision. I'll just put it that way. And how you get to those decisions is going to be determinant between egos. And there are 3 components to any ego that I'm talking about here. There is the fear ego, the fear, then there's the love energy. There's a fear energy and a love energy. Actually, two energies, excuse me. The spiritual ego actually focuses right here, which, if you're actually looking at it from the point of view of karma and that kind of thing, it would be the I level. Your crown level is your psychological ego, which is like your gun, your sword. It's like everything that is flowing in your mind. And then what you're seeing is going to be determinant, and you're going to be either you have to get yourself grounded. I could sit here and talk about this all day, but the reason I'm going so fast in this realm is because it's not really the whole part of the topic, but I have to introduce it in a way that you will understand in English how it is that you're making some of the right decisions, and your actions actually is what comes from those decisions. Now, the psychological ego. First of all, let's talk about ego. Let's just go right here. I don't want to sit here and make pretend anything. I'm gonna just pull it right out. The ego is the I or self of any person, a person as thinking, feeling, and willing and distinguishing itself from the selves of others and from objects of its thought. We got a whole lot to talk about. Here's a psychoanalysis that I want to bring to your attention. The part of the psychic apparatus that experiences and reacts to the outside world and thus meditates between the primitive of the ID and the demands of the social and physical environment. So we need to break that down because even that sounds like a whole lot that you need to know about. Now, I never studied psychology, but I have studied a lot when it comes to the spiritual ego. And they both basically run the same way. The breaking point is actually what is psychological and what is spiritual. But the parallels is how you coming to those excuses, what kind of excuses come from them, what are you going to do about them, and your action. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. The psychological issue or ego is anything that is related to opinions, decisions, and perceptions. Oh, ouch, 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 ouch. Or it could be an aha moment depending on your situation. The psychological ego is the decision, the action, and your perceptions. Your spiritual ego is relative to your judgment, energy, and the actual disillusionment of the revolving, or depending how you want to say it, evolving area within your well-being, but also on the outside. I'm almost done. I'm probably not going to get all this done today. I am going to tell you that really where the people get mixed up at the most, and they do not realize that this is happening, and that happens to be in the spiritual ego world. not so much in a psychological ego. Why? Because in the spiritual world, while it's paralleled in one way, it breaks off, meaning that there are certain things you get positive and negative consequences. They are your positive rewards, or negative rewards. You don't really get rewards on a psychological level, because you could only get them in the presence of what is actually incurring during that time. Let's give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say you want to write a book, right? You want to write a book. The psychological ego says, here is all my thoughts. This is everything I want to do. You might even have written a book. But you could still take the action and try to publish it. But the spiritual ego says the perception and disillusionment of where that book comes from, and then the award is whether or not it is aligned to the people you're speaking with. But here's the issue. You're not going to know what the award is without actually taking the action to do it. Then you will know if there's an alignment to what it is that you are doing. Now, hopefully, those of you that are listening understand what I'm saying. And for those of you that could be listening later, is following me. I'm trying to be very simple with this. That's why I'm actually talking slower. I could go a whole lot faster and actually be done the whole thing, but I'd rather you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So the biggest thing about psychological ego, first of all, is to make sure that you're not concluding on delusional or fantasies. They are derived off of your spiritual ego. And that is what is inside of you as the person that others are able to see revolving around you. There's been some folks that tried to tell me at one point, but I'm guessing that that point has now been changed after a while. And that is this term where they had this perception that they could actually close themselves up. Folks, there is no such thing as you closing up to anybody, because if you close yourself up, then that means that you're technically, I don't know how else to really say it, but based off of the true definition that I have here, that would make you a nobody by default, because you're expecting nobody to know nothing about you. However, your actions are what is being shown. And therefore, yes, they are able to make judgmental calls. But are they based off of perception? Or are they based off of excuses? That is what is really the difference here. Let's talk about spiritual ego. It's one thing to have the thought process of I want to do this, I want to do that. Now, how do you use a psychological ego with your spiritual ego? I think I need to introduce this first. You have to know the difference between love and fear energies, because they both have a parallel position in the very same columns of the different types of ego. Yes, you are two persons. You have your psychological self, and then you have the spiritual self. But it is two that makes you one. Without one, you are not the other. You have to have both in place. So, what is that fear and love energy? The fear energy comes from the judgmental excuses of a well-being, whereas a love energy comes from, and this is going to sound very funny when I say it, but from the confined excuses within a well-being. But in order for you to know that you are confined in yourself for that excuse of what you are excusing, you have to delineate yourself from the actual incriminating excuse. Wow, what a powerful testimony that one is. This is going to be opening up some eyes. You got to follow me. I'm trying to speak English here. There's people out there that will literally use big punctuous words. I want you to understand that it's just as difficult for me to make it simple enough for you to understand than it is if I would have just done that. Okay. So, excuse me, simplicity does mean a lot more, though, when it comes to these types of topics. You want to make sure that there's an easy way of understanding. Spiritual ego even connects you with either your higher self, source, and or God. So, depending how you are believing, okay, your spiritual ego has that big connection. But you have to understand it is the you, and that your delusions cannot interfere with, understand this, your perception. So more on a love energy, where your delusions are more on a fear energy. Well, what's a delusion? Let's talk about that a minute. A delusion. An act or instance of deluding, psychiatry, a fixed false belief that is resistant to reason or confrontation with actual fact. So it's something where it almost seems as if it's so true, right? It probably did happen. But the only thing that you could remember is the negative point of view of what happened, and you see no change in it. This is just what you think, and that's how you ended it. You were like, no, that person harassed me. I'm done. That's the end. I don't want to hear nothing more about it, right? That's your delusion coming from your spiritual ego on a judgmental excuse. Okay. So the way that you got to turn this into love energy, and maybe you're starting to figure this part out, if this is you, if you're one of those that were like, oh, this person cheated on me, this person robbed me, this person's harassing me, this person forced me into a contract to get with me, or this person forced me to do this or do that, whatever kind of thing that actually might be true, okay, ends up causing a huge delusionary, judgmental excuse to your spiritual ego, which really ruins your actual alignment to the award. So what do you do about that? There are several things that you have to do. Now, the first one is not to try to change that. The first one is actually knowing you have to know your problem. How did you get involved with this person to begin with? What got you involved with this person, right? What was the intention? What was your intention of that person? Now, obviously, in your mind, you saw that the intention of that person was to rob you, fall in love with you, or whatever else, okay? All right, that's the other person, but I'm talking about the spiritual ego, which is the I, okay, meaning you. What got you involved with that person? What was your intention? Then you take a perception of what would it have been like if I'd done this instead of using incriminating actions. What are some of the incriminating actions that you probably would have chosen? Let's see. Smack them in the face, gave them some up bombs, right? Blocked them, pushed them, sweared at them. What else would there have been? Let's see. What else? What other kind of actions could we have thrown in there? I'm not even going to tell you some of the really bad ones that could have happened there, but and it's past my pay grade. Go ask the detectives. Okay. But those decisions were derived from a fear energy. Even though it's so true. Yeah, it was true. Like that person forced you into a contract, and you know, I don't know, nature has a way of being weird, whether that person started hating you. Well, then in that case, it would have been that they were not aligned with you to begin with. So that would be a whole nother topic in itself. But if the person fell in love with you, or the person developed some other kind of what they thought was interesting about whatever relationship it might have been, then that wasn't matching what your intentions is, then there must have been something that had happened, and it's not that person's fault. You have to look at what happened with you. Ooh, boy, that's the toughest part of the whole thing. Because, you know, for a long period of time, I'm going to say probably 7 years for me, I've always been talking about, well, this person, this person, that, but then I was never able to figure out why. And then it took me 7 years to actually figure out why. And the why is simply what it is still yet today. The problem is here again is where I want to bring up another thing that fear energy develops. It's called the forced karma. Oh yes, there is a such thing now from Dr. Samuel Lombardo called forced karma. What does that mean? That means when you are being hurt by an individual, and you would purposely, knowing that you're in that same alignment with the individual, you would purposely do things out of perception to make it seem as if they were not as important. And therefore, that forced karma is like trying to make people believe that because what happened with me and they were not aligned is so true to, they're not aligned to themselves. So they want to then try to prove to people that you are not what they seem to be by putting this hideous, what I call the hideous perception, which is actually a confined excuse to an incriminating action that in the long end, you are the one stuck where you are at. See, it took me 7 years to figure that out, and now I'm finally getting aligned with where I'm heading and what I need to do. Now, are there other things where I'm still stuck at and I'm trying to figure things out? Yes. I'm not saying that this is a piece of cake and that things are happening and all that, but the big headache was knowing and aligning myself up to those delusions. And my fear energy was always, oh, what if I, you know, what if I. The truth of the matter is I don't even care if I am actually involved with the person again or not. But I also do believe that that is in alignment, and there were some things that I needed to fix in order for that thing, for that particular thing anyway, to work. In the meantime, yes, I can tell I'm speaking about specific people in my life during that time, and I can still tell where there's still the same things happening, maybe minor changes, but they're not technically, they're still stuck in that fear energy. And part of that delusion is I don't want to be with someone that has proven that they got nowhere. Or I don't want to be with someone that is going to do what they did to me before. So there's that term stuck in the past, you know? So what do you do when you're stuck? Well, what's the point of you being stuck, first of all? You being stuck is actually your fear. So think about it. If you know that you can improve very well by, I wish this person actually heard this conversation today, because if this person did, they would know that whatever delusion they had then does not match with the delusion that they should be having an illusion of positivity being aligned to what they originally wanted. Then there's also the fact that there are some folks that are more aligned about certain things faster than others. So perhaps maybe I was asking a 20-year-old to be a board member, for example. I'm going to throw a really, really easy one at you. I'm asking a 20-year-old to be a board member, but they have no idea at all what business is. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't learn. That just means that, are they really ready to sit on the board right now? Okay, that's the difference. So what happens is that you would actually be able to find yourself leading into those areas. Maybe I was the judgmental excuse for your psychic to be able to answer your question to where you align to. Not necessarily that this is the answer for you right now, but that you're heading into that direction. It could also be that there are those where I'm not fit in a line. I could be over down in here and they're up over here somewhere. And then I find myself climbing up that totem pole. But the people in my life are actually there to provide these various lessons. Yes, there are going to be lessons in life. We have this thing called karmic lesson and karmic debt. Karmic debt is what you don't want. Of course, we have no control over it. That's what some of these psychics out there actually say too. Let me tell you how you do have control. See, no person can have control over any other person. But the only control that anchors everyone aligned to your vision is a love energy. That's why that's the most beautiful piece of this whole thing. The fear energy is just all over the place. You have all kinds of problems, just stuck. It causes negative consequence. Your lessons in life come from your love energy. They usually start off with, hi, my name is, and you're developing something from that, whether you are going to be business partner, lovers, friends and lovers, business partners and friends, or falling, I mean, very minimum do I see this, but falling in love with your business partner. I mean, the reason I laugh about it is because it depends. It really does. You don't know. But the idea is that the love energy is there for the perspective of what is to be aligned. That's your karmic lesson. And there are different people that do different things in your life. But in a fear energy is where you're stuck with these delusions. This is like down deep. Okay, that's what today's topic is. So what is an incriminating versus judgmental excuse? I'm here to tell you it's really about fear versus love. Love actually takes action. Fear, you're stuck. Fear only works to stick you. It's what it does. Fear is sticky. Love is smooth sailing and it does what it wants to do at its time. So what do we do about this when you're stuck? The universe, sometimes how I would put it, now I would also say that God, our higher source, provides us different lessons with different individuals. The worst thing you want to do is put yourself in a lesson that you're not able to get yourself out of. But how do you know when that's happening? You don't. See, some people, when it comes to psychology, they say that you are supposed to know when you're getting involved with things that you want to get out of. That is true, but by the time you already are there, it's kind of like a cancer where it's already there. Now you got to figure out how to get rid of it. It's kind of like trying to tune a piano, tearing the whole thing apart. And boy, if you think that's a project, well, look at the project with each and one of our lives. We are literally tuning up ourselves every single day. We are tuning up our pianos every single day. Why? Because we have to know, now understand this, only unless someone asks you to, would you tune up someone else's piano. But when it comes to real life experiences, you technically have to tune your own. So consider yourself a piano that you are tuning. And you realize, now understand this, God has some pretty funny ways of showing things. Some tune-ups are easy. You just go there and you tighten up the strings, make sure that they're that the sound is flowing in the right, what's the word that I'm thinking of? That the flow of the sound is actually got the right kilowatts, I believe, or something to that sort. Yeah, I'm forgetting that term. And, it's as simple as that. And it might be one or two keys, right? Then you got these pianos that are just been sitting around forever and ever and ever. You got dust in it. You got pianos, the keys are falling off the keyboard. You might have the string where you got to put new string on them. You might have like the knobs don't even work. There might be crud in it. All kinds of stuff. It's just dirty, right? So what do you do with that kind of a piano? Yeah, it is a project. I'm going to give you that. It is a project. But what do you do with a piano like that? It's only one thing you can do with it. You have the choice to do what you want to do. And I think this is where God is leading us. When he gives you things to do, don't just think that it's just a simple little, oh, I have to do it. You need to know why the divine is actually giving you these lessons in your life. Could it be that this is where you are aligned to now, that you have to take every piece of that piano and this illusion, like you gotta tear it apart? Just remember how everything goes back together. Oh, Lord. But when it goes back together, once it's cleaned up and tuned up and it is aligned to your liking, then you're actually able to play that piano again, right? Or that guitar or whatever instrument that you're tuning. Would it sound nice with an on-tuned piano being played with a singer? Probably not, right? Probably not. Would some folks say, oh, the piano is so bad, man, we're just gonna have to junk this one and go get a new one? Well, there's something compelling you to actually not do that. Consider the spiritual lesson in that. Is it possible that an old situation is going to come back new? Ooh, ouch, ouch. Did I just throw a aha moment at anyone out there? This is a very, very deep projection being made. If there is anybody that is going through these types of scenarios as what I am saying, this could be you. This could be you. Are you going to have the fear? Are you going to say, oh my God, it's going to cost me money. I'm not going to be able to fix this. Forget it. Never mind. It's better if I just throw it in the trash. Are you the type that's going to say, well, the key is broken now. No, never mind. I sat here, I did what I could, but no matter what I could do, it was nothing worth it but the trash. Wow, what about this one? I cleaned all the dirt out. I put everything back together, but something still, it doesn't sound right. I don't feel like tearing this thing apart again. It's garbage. These three things are you using these examples. It is time for you to reassess the delusion, because you need to know what the original intent is. What's the intent? What's the motivation behind why you would want to make that old piano, guitar, organ, whatever work? If you can provide the motivation, if you can think it, put it on paper, and then take the action to do it, right? That is the issue that we are missing. We are missing the fact that the award is so rich that while it might take time to clean something up and make it work again, that it may be the, and I'm trying to say this without even being in tears, it may be the most beautiful experience in your life that was found alive to you. Then I can congratulate you and say that that is well done. God will say, well done, my faithful and true servant, because you have followed the instructions of that manual that God has provided to you, even if it was to be implied in your life. This is an implication. And yes, it does take work, doesn't it? Doesn't it take work? I'll ask anybody out there, and you can reply later if you visit me later. It takes a lot of work. It's not an easy fix. Love energy just, it's not an automatic thing. It's just like what you're doing with your spiritual ego. You have to decide. You got to know what to clean up. Don't push yourself into a karmic debt situation, especially if it's one that you don't even deserve. If the lesson was there, you don't want to make it a life lesson, because then it does come back around. Yes, it does. So if you're the type that's just starting to realize that that's coming around, using that piano thing again, you were probably the one that was in the basement trying to figure it out. Why is it that I see this same old piece of junk that doesn't get played? Until you start to realize, waking up one day, it's not junk and I can fix it up. If that is you, then I am going to congratulate you in your foundings with God, in the presence of his glory. I praise God for that, because that means that you're in the step, you're in that process. You're in the process of tuning up your piano, your life, for a confined excuse into love energy to make the realities of your life work, whatever is being aligned to you in the now. Some of you, it may take 25 years for you to figure it out. Some of you, it may take you 35 years to figure it out. Wherever you are in the process, do know that there is a loving God that forgives you, excuses you for every single thing in your life if you can make that change. And it does require change. Think about it. What piano, I'm going to ask you that, so what piano are you going to tune that is so bad that you don't realize that there's not going to be a change? You let me know. The first biggest change is that it's not going to sound as bad as it did. Even though that the delusion is it was bad. Believe me, it was terribly bad, right? You could play, it was like, right? But now, when you get done cleaning that thing up, oh my God, it will be the most beautiful sound you ever could imagine compared to the last part of it. Because you have done the work to align yourself up. That piano, that piece, that whatever you were doing, puts you in the right spot for you to sound the most beautiful. And then that is when you know that you have confined in yourself. And that is the excuse that you want. That is the story that you want to be able to project. That is the illusion of not just a perception, but the illusion, your reality of what is coming next to you in the theater of your life. If you have any questions about the video today, you can put them in the comment section down below and I will answer them in the next recording. Please do not forget to subscribe at our YouTube channel, SL Models and Talent Agency LLC. That is the gold icon or logo with a red round ring around it, if I said that correctly. Yeah, and please press the notification bell as we are live. You will be able to see that we are live and you can attend at any time. Now, our next time that we will be live with you in an interactive call will be about 8 p.m. We're going to be taking our actually 8:30 p.m. between 8:30 and 9, but we're only going to do probably about an hour to an hour and a half session tonight because I was actually able to go through everything I needed to in that chapter. And I've actually almost been in tears because I know how much of a tune-up in my life I have projected to the world compared to where I was before. And I'm not afraid if I'm open. If you're afraid to be open, even if the fear was not there, then you already had fear. You cannot imply the fear not being there versus it being there. There was a reason. Sometimes it's not all about you thinking that you're helping the person, but it could be that God put that person there to help you help them to realize you. Think about those things for a little bit. Because the ego actually determines you, not the other person. Okay, so anytime you make those judgment calls, remember that. That's about all that I have for right now. So yeah, You want to see our live training live tonight at 6 p.m.? Excellent. I'll see you there. All right. Until then, have a blessed evening.